So, already at the last function asked to build from us for assignment 5 of topic 6, okay? And that's the function dayDifference, which will make the difference between two dates in the number of days, I guess. But that's only me guessing. And I had a look at what's expected from us in this through the tests, and there you see that the day difference between some year, month, and day called date 1. So this is one date, 1st of January 2017, and then another date which happens to be again the 1st January of 2017. So the days in between are 0. So there are 0 days in between, of course, because that's the same date. If we look at the difference between January 1st and January 7th of the same year, we have 1 day difference. Between the 3rd and the 1st of January, we have 2 days, and so on. Okay, there seems to be a problem where we can have minus a number of days, but that's probably, and we can see it, if the first date happens to be after the second date. Okay, so you need to give the first date, the earliest date first, and then the other one next. So 31st of March is coming after the 1st of March of the same year, and that gives you a positive number of days. If the dates are the other way around, you need to give it a minus sign. Okay, let's tackle the positive version first. And for that we have 6 parameters, and one of the rules of thumb in this course is you shall not have more than 3 parameters, but that's of course because we're not using objects. I'm going to redo this exercise and clean up the code with objects, and you will see that the 6 parameters will be only 2 parameters, each presenting 1 date. So what do we need to do? We have to calculate the difference between 2 dates, and for a moment here we're going to assume that the first, so the most recent date is the second date, and the oldest date is the first date. Okay. Now, what do we need to do? We need to calculate something rather hard, because if I have some, let me get out a paint here to show you what I mean. So if I have some date, there we go. This is a time axis, and I will have some date. So let's suppose that these are years. Okay, and then I have some date in there, and then I have some years in between, and here I have another date. Okay, then I need to calculate well, this distance in dates, right? How can I do that? Well, I have a function calculating me all the days in 1 year, so that can't be a problem. And I can have this one as well for free, because I have a function giving me the number of days from a date since the beginning of the year. So which number of day is this date, and it will give me like 100 days. Okay, this one seems to be a problem. So what I could do is just calculate this with the function number day of year, or number of day, and I can calculate the full year, and I can calculate this as being the difference between those 2 dates. Okay, so that might be one way to solve it. Let's try this. I have however far more nicer idea, and that's doing it like this. If I could let's say I'm going to do this again, and then I have 2 dates again, So this date in this year, year, and this date. What I could do is make another function that's not being asked, but just a function that helps me out, that gives me from some given year, okay, so that might be even this year, okay, doesn't matter. I can calculate the distance from that year, the beginning of that year, to my first date, and I can calculate my number of days since that reference year to my second date, and then I can take the difference of those two. Okay. Now I need some reference year, and this might be the 1900, for instance. So I'm calculating the difference in days between each date and one January 1st of 1900. But then, of course, I might do it even more beautiful and say I'm going to look at the year of the oldest date and use this as a reference. Then my function should still work if I happen to have two dates that are even before January 1st of 1900. Okay, so whatever date comes first, I'm taking the 1st of January of that year, and I'm going to calculate the number of days since then for the two dates and make the difference. Okay, so let's solve it in two ways, just as practice for programming. Okay, let's do this one first. This is the hard one. Okay, so I need and we're going to assume again that the first date is the oldest. So I need for this first date, I need to calculate the number of days from the beginning of the year for this date. Okay, so I have number of day for this date, and this will give me the number of days passed on that date in year one. Of course, that's not what I need. I have to subtract that from the number of days in that year. Okay, so number of days in year, I'm going to put that in front, okay, of year one, and subtract that. Okay, so this is the expression that is going to give me the remainder of days in year one, starting at day D1 in month M1. Okay, so next I'm going to have to calculate, so let's initialize the number of days with this, and then I'm going to have to calculate or add all the number of days in the in-between years, and I'm going to add, and I might do this as well, the number of days for the second date. Okay, and that's going to be year 2, M2, D2. Okay, so that's the other side. So I have for the first date some number of days that are passed, and I'm going to subtract that from the total number of days in that year. So these are the remaining days in year one. And then I will take the number of days already passed in year 2, and now I have to add to them all the number of days in the years in between. So I'm going to have a for loop, letting each year, starting from my year 1 plus 1. So that's the next year, not because I already took care of the whole year 1. So the next year after that, to my year 2, not included because I took care of that already as well. So this is going to take care of all the years in between, and I'm going to add to my days the number of days in year of that year I'm looking at. Okay, so this is taking care of all the days I need in year 1, being the days in year 1 minus the days already passed in year 1. So that's the remainder of the days in year 1. That's the number of days in year 2, and all the years in between. So from year 1 plus 1 to year 2, not included. I'm going to calculate the number of days in that full year, all those full years added to days, and I'm going to return days. Okay, so that's one way of writing this function. Let's see if we have it right. No. And that's, of course, well, that might be. So I must have the first one. So let's see which one is failing. I'm going to first check the first test. Just quickly take out the other ones. And it's already the first test that gives me a problem. Okay. So what is he doing? He's calculating 365 days in 2017 minus 1. Indeed, so something's wrong with my calculations, because if I have the 1st of January of 2017, what am I doing in my function? I'm actually going to take the number of days in year 1, which is 365, minus 1, or 366, I don't care, minus 1. And that's, of course, well, that's what I need. But the number of days passed in the second date. So this is the problem of having the same year. Okay, so let's see. If I have 365, 366, something like that days, minus the 1st of January in 2017, then I have 365 days, 364 days. And I'm adding to this 365. And that's, of course, wrong, because it's the same year. Okay. So that's, let's see. That's something I need to tackle. This special case. Okay, so let's do this. That's where I have something like this, and I have my 2 dates in 1 year. Okay, and actually it's the same date. Okay, so I cannot do it with adding this and adding this, because that's, of course, the same year. Okay, so that's one of the things I need to tackle separately, the case in which the years are the same. Okay, because then I only can do this, and I can't do this. Okay, so I can say I'm going to only do this if my years are not the same. So if year 2 is bigger than year 1. Okay. So, and that's what's happening with this technique. That's the hardest. I already have some exceptions. Okay, so that might be a red flag to do things different, as we will do by the second method I explained to you. But let's first see if this works now. Not yet, because it gives me an actual of 1. And what's that? So he's going to give me the number of days passed, and it must be the number of days passed not since the beginning of the year, but since the beginning of the other date. Okay, so I might add another if. Okay, but this is getting me nowhere. Okay, see what I mean? So this is quite cumbersome. Let's see, I have an older solution here, and the older solution did some, so disregard this, but it has a total of number of days in year 2, and then all the years, and then it subtracts. Okay, so that might be another technique. Let's look at it. Okay, let's see what it does. I'm setting the days to the days passed for the second date. Okay, and then I'm going for year 1 to year 2, not included, and I'm adding the number of days in that year. Okay, I think we will run into the same problem, and then I will have finally I will subtract the number of days passed in that first year. Okay, well, that might actually solve my problem with the first test, but let's see. No, it doesn't. No, total is not defined, so I must just rename this, and that should take me to a working function. Okay, so that's one trick you could do. So let's say again that the second date is the most recent date. I have some numbers of days passed that year, and then I'm going to look at all the years before that from year 1 to year 2, not included, and add all the number of days in that year, meaning that for the first year I'm including too much, but then I'm going to subtract the days passed in year 1. Okay, so that's almost how I did it, but now it's separated in 3 steps. Okay, and this works. Well, let's see if the other tests succeed as well. Okay, and probably they won't because of the negatives. Okay, so now we must take care of the negatives as well. And for that we have to do some more grunt work. Okay, so I will have to do something that checks whether of a date is before or after some other date. Okay, so for this function, which I'm going to call before, I need again the same parameters, and I'm going to respect the order in my library. So meaning I have year 1, month 1, day 1, year 2, month 2, and day 2. They called it YMD 1 and 2. I could just as well do it the same way. Okay, so year 1, month 1, day 1, year 2, month 2, day 2. So I'm going to decide if this date comes before this one or not. And that's how I will finish my dayDifference. Okay, because if the dates are wrongly ordered, then I must have a negative number of days. How can I do that? Well, first of all, if my year 1 equals my year 2, I don't know anything, but if my year 1 is smaller than my year 2, then I can safely return true, because it doesn't matter which dates we have in those years. The years are in the right order, so the month and the day doesn't matter anymore. And I will return true. If, however, the other way around, year 2 is bigger than year 1, then I can safely return false, because this cannot be the case anymore that the dates are in the right order, because the years are not even in the right order. Okay. In this case now, if I didn't return true and false, I have that the years are the same. So now I have to look at the months, and I can do the same trick. Okay. So if I have the case which I didn't return true or false, then I have the same years, and now I can just look at the months. If I'm in the same year and the months are in the right order, then the days don't matter, and I return true. If the months are not in the right order, then, well, I must return false, because there's no way we can save this. In this case now, we have the days, and we have equal months. So we have the days to check. Okay, so I can do the same for days. If I'm in the same year, in the same month, then I can now safely check the days. Okay, and I can check if the days are in the right order or not. Okay, so if D1 is before D2, then everything is okay, because I know the years and the months are the same. Otherwise I would have returned. And in this case, I have equal days as well as months as years, so I can return false, because then I'm not before. Okay, I'm actually I have two identical dates and one is not before the other one. So this function is a helper function that wasn't asked, but it gives me the idea of two dates having them in the right order. So meaning date 1 is before date 2. So now I can do what? If they are not in the right order, so if not before, because I'm expecting year 1, month 1, day 1, so the first date being earlier than the second date. But if this is not the case, okay, so if this is not the case, then I must do the same exercise but return a minus sign. So I'm going to just call myself and do the same thing with a minus sign, vice versa. So I'm going to just swap the two dates in there and everything should be okay. So I have some kind of an escape route here. Let me do this again, or tell this again. If it happens that the dates are not in the right order, so I'm looking at this date, date 1, and it's not before date 2, then I will just do the same thing with the dates swapped, but I must return it with a minus sign. Okay? And this is, of course, calling myself. Okay? So this is actually a function calling itself and returning the same difference, but now if the dates are not in the right order, which I check here, I'm just calling myself again with the dates in the right order, and whatever comes back will be returned by me with a negative sign, so a minus sign in front. So let's see if this takes me somewhere here. And well, I have a problem with stack size exceeded, so meaning that I have some infinite calls, so the function calling itself over and over again. This might be a problem in before. So let's see how before works. If my year is before my second year, then I have true, or otherwise I have false. If my first month, so in this case, if I get to here, my years are the same. If my first month is before my second month, I return true. Otherwise, I return false. And the same for the days, returning true, false. And if it's the same, I'm going to return false. So now let's see which one doesn't work. Okay, so let's take out these and just check the first one, so to see if it didn't break anything. And this is already giving me a problem. Yes, so, and that's probably because if the dates are the same and I'm returning false, then I'm going to have a problem that he's going to swap each time around. So he's going to see the same dates and just call it with the dates swapped. But the call will have the same dates, so it will see that it's again returning false the before, so it's going to swap them again, and so on infinitely. So I have an infinite loop, so I must break out of this by returning true in this case. Let's see. Yes, and that's correct, because it's 0 in this case. Okay, so it doesn't matter if I have 0 or minus 0. Let's check the other ones. To see if all go true. No, I have a lot of problems here with this test. Okay, I have 2017, and this should give me some days here in between, 730 days, but I get an actual value of 1. Okay, so we have to check this test. Okay, so let's debug it, see what happens. Okay, so let's check it out. I'm going to go into the function. Okay, and now I have two dates. 2015 April 31st, No. They're in a particular order, but I think this should be okay. Let's check them out. 31st of March in 2017. And now I have for the second date the 1st of April 2015. Okay, so let's see what before does. So I have two dates here. I can see them here as well. 31st of March 2017 and 1st of April 2015. And I'm going to go into the function, which is before, and which is going to check if those are in the right order. So what I see here is 2015 being this the younger date. So this should give me false in before, and we should swap it. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go into my function, F7. Years are not the same, but I'm going to not return true because year 1 is 2017 and it's clearly not smaller than 2015. This is, so this will return false, I should hope. But if I look at 2015 for year 2 and 2017, oh yes, I see what's going on here. I swapped the sign or the operator, but I also swapped the two variables, which I can't, of course. Okay, it should be like this. Stupid me. Okay, there we go. So that's actually me saying now, if year 1 is smaller than year 2, return true, because then the whole date must be before the second date. If this is not the case, so the other way around, I switch the operator, but I can't switch the variables, of course, because otherwise I have the same condition being checked. Okay, so let's see now. This gives me an OK. And now I can do all of them. I feel lucky. Yes, and everything works. Okay, I have all of them working. I only have one test indeed, but there's a lot of absurds in there. Okay, that's it. Now let's go through this again, because the whole trick here is, if I see that my parameter is not in the right order, I'm just calling myself, putting them in the right order, and in this case I have to signal that because by the fact that I need a negative answer. Okay, and that's it. So the only thing now left for us to do is perhaps tackle the second way of doing this. So this is and that was, of course, when I had my dates and I wanted to so this is the one we actually implemented. And now I'm going to try and implement this one, starting from some beginning of the year to some reference date. I'm going to calculate all the days in between. Okay. You can write this in some other ways, as I will show you. So this was the old version we already made. Okay, and you can also write it like this. So if the year is smaller than year 1 is smaller than year 2, return true. Else if, so then you are in the case that you have a false, but I'm going to save all the false cases for the final else. So in the else if I happen to have the same years and the months are in the right order, then I will return true as well. And finally, if I have the same year and the same month and the days are in order, then I return true as well. In all other cases, I will return false. And of course, since I have all these cases, I might just as well write them in one big expression. So if either the year 1 is before year 2, or the years are the same and the months are in the right order, or the months are equal and the days are in the right order, then I must return true. In all other cases, I must return false. Well, I would say that this is kind of cryptic code, so I wouldn't go for that expression, okay? But I would do perhaps this one. Still, I do think that this is the most readable way of doing things, okay? I'm going to leave them here for you to ponder, but I don't think these are the better cases to write, okay? So I'm going to finally do it like this, year 1, year 2, and I'm going to just solve the cases, month 1, month 2, month 2, and then I have this one, year 1, year 2, so I'm just using the same names here, okay? Whoops, this is not correct. This is month 1, month 2, day 1, day 2, and in all other cases I'm returning false. So this is one way of writing this, and then I have the final one, which is just one big expression, and I wouldn't do it like that way because it's kind of hard to read, okay? Month 1, month 2, or month 1 equals month 2, and the days are in the right order, right? But again, this is not the best way to write this, I believe. You could say I'm going to do this, but I prefer this. It's a pretty clean way to reason about your dates. Let's check it once more if things are okay. And then finally we can perhaps do the other attack on the problem. But it's going to be quite the same, because the only thing that is going to change is that we start from some reference date, okay? So perhaps I'm going to leave this as an exercise. I'm going to explain it to you once more. And that's, now we've actually calculated all the years in between and the number of days in the second date since the beginning of its year. And then for the first date, I have calculated or added all the days of that year, and I've subtracted the days passed since that beginning of the year for the first date. The new approach would be, I have some reference date, okay, and I calculate the days since some reference date. And of course, what I could do is I could calculate as a reference. I could use the 1st of January for the first, so the oldest date, okay, and I could make a function that gives me the days since, so let's call this 2015, okay, so some date in 2015, April 1st, for instance, okay, and this is 2016-17, so this is what the example, okay, so 2017, 31st of March, okay. And what I could do is say, I'm going to take the lesser of the 2 years, 2015, calculate from the 1st of the year this distance in days, the same to the second date, and then just subtract those two numbers, okay? So for that, I would need to build me a new function that gives me all the number of days since some reference day, okay? And the reference day must of course be then to be to have this working in the most efficient way, have some reference date being the 1st of January of some year, okay? So I'm not going to do this, but you can try it out yourself. I've solved the exercise, and I'm leaving this as an exercise for you, the second way to do things.